Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to swap faces. So I've got Mona Lisa on layer 1 and George Washington's face is going to go right there on layer 2. So the first thing I want to point out, when you're doing this you have to have two subjects where they both have the same angle of the face. So these two are both looking to one direction as far as the way their head is tilted. So if one's looking way far up and one's looking down, that won't work. Or if one's looking straight and one's head is tilted, that would not work. However, if you control T, you can still flip it. So if Washington was looking this way, I could still flip that over and that would work. Now, what I'm going to try to line up first are Washington's pupils and Mona Lisa's pupils, and then the bottom of the chin needs to be lined up. I'm not worried about the nose or the mouth or anything else like that. So to help me do this, I'm going to take layer 2 and I'm going to change the opacity down to right around 50. And that's going to help me line things up. So now in my free transform, I'm just going to start stretching and pulling, moving, maybe a little tilting. Use your arrow keys for fine-tuning things. I'm going to try to get my chins lined up, and of course as soon as I get the chins lined up, there goes the pupils again. So you just want to keep toying with this until you can get it correct. Now once you get it, you'll see the eyes just lined up almost perfectly and the chin looks pretty good down here. So anytime you free transform, you want to say yes or no to Photoshop. Shortcut keys are enter and escape. Now I want to turn my opacity back up to 100. And we never want to erase in Photoshop. That's bad. We want to mask. So right down in the Layers tab, Layers palette, I'm going to click the mask. And white reveals, it shows everything. And black conceals. So if I get a black paintbrush, I can just color right out like that. And then when I switch it back to white, you can switch it by clicking here or hitting the letter X. We'll switch back and forth. I can color it back in. So that's non-destructive editing. We always want to do non-destructive editing. I'm going to go ahead and change the whole face to black. So an easy way to do that is to click on the mask and then invert our mask. So I'm clicking on the mask. It's right here for me, but if you don't see it on yours, you just pull this down, click on masks, and there it is. And I'm going to invert it. So now he's all gone because that went all black. Now I want to color it back in with white, but I want to make sure my brush is all the way 0% hardness. And I want it to be about this size, so about the size of her nose. And so now when I start coloring back in, of course, it's Washington. Now the areas we want to color in, we want to keep Mona Lisa's jawline. We want to keep her hairline. And you can see there we're getting a little bit of the excess over here, so I want to take that away. So I just switch back to black, and I'm taking it back out. Now the pupils are not lining up right in this area, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and free transform it without the pupils lined up. Pull it out just a little bit. Pull this back this way a little bit until it starts to look correct to me. That looks pretty good. A lot of people make the mistake of making the face look too large. This looks just fine. Just want to kind of work it nice and easy all the way around. Make sure you keep that brush at nice and fuzziness until you get it where you want it. Now the problem now is Mona Lisa's skin tone is more orange and his is lighter. So there is a way we can fix that. We're going to add, in this case, I'm going to add a hue and saturation layer. There's a lot of different ones in here, some color balance and things that you could add, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to add a hue and saturation. Now, on my hue and saturation, here's the adjustments. I can change it, but it changes everything, and that's not what we want. The way we can make this layer only affect this layer is something called a clipping mask. The easiest way to get a clipping mask is hold down the Alt key, situate your cursor in between those two layers that you would like to clip, and click the mouse button once. And if you see the arrow that points down, that created a clipping mask. There are other ways to do it, but this is the quickest I find. Now then, when I'm doing my adjustments, it's only going to affect his face. So now I'm good to go. I can just make him a little more orange, maybe increase the saturation to match Mona Lisa's. We can play with the lightness or the darkness. I think maybe a little darker because his features aren't quite as dark up in here, and that can help darken those up. And refine my color choice until I get it right where I want it. Now in extreme cases you may have to do another clip for Mona Lisa, so you might have to do another hue and saturation and clip that, and then you can change that background depending on what pictures you're using. But in this case, just one clip works just fine, and there you have it. We have switched Mona Lisa's face with George Washington's face.